This is the cover to my 2024 Hobonichi Cousin Avec. The Avec comes in 2 volumes, January through June and July through December. This is, of course, volume 2, July through December. And I just took some really pretty scrapbooking paper. I got at Michael's. The scrapbooking paper is actually 25 years old because I am an art supply hoarder. I freely admit to that. And so I keep everything. So I was saving this paper for something special, and I thought, that's going to be my cover. This is a sticker from Pip Sticks. They're a monthly sticker club I used to belong to. This is just a piece of ephemera I tore out of something else. And the leaf here, the feather here is a sticker. And everything else is just from the paper. And then I chose a coordinating paper from that same paper pack. And then I have got my Hobonichi in a clear cover to protect it. So, and it also gives me, the cover gives me pockets on the inside because the Hobonichi does not come with any pockets. And this is the Tomoe River Paper, the new version, the 68 GSM, which initially I really liked, and I didn't really see much of a difference between it and the 52 GSM, but I think they may be having issues with quality control because as I began using my volume 1 journal, and I remember this is the second volume, I noticed sometimes in writing, I don't know if I can find any examples here right quick. I mean, there are plenty of examples. I use, exclusively I use fountain pens in my journals. I am a fountain pen fanatic. And I'm just trying to see if I can find any. Of course, now that I want to talk about it, I can't find. Okay, here we go. This is where I changed ink because the ink in this pen ran out. But if you notice, the ink on this line looks a lot thicker than over here. It kind of fades here, and then it looks regular down here. There are spots, let me zoom in the Tomoe River Paper, the new 68 GSM, where inks do this. They can even spread further than this. And I have found it to be 100% unpredictable of when and where it's going to happen. It usually happens when I'm trying to fit some print into a tight area, and then the ink spreads and it runs into the line of text above or below it, and basically kind of, ruins that part of my page. And I was getting really pissed off about it. Look, yeah, I swear in my journals. But that being aside, I really like to spread. I have to do this type of thing more often. It's done that in numerous places. Here's another. This is just a little spot here where it did it. But I've noticed there is a quality control issue with the 68 GSM Tomoe River Paper that Hobonichi is now making. Here's another place where it did it. You can see the difference. Now, maybe I'm just being OCD about my inks. I don't think so, because it didn't do that in my Hobonichis from the last 3 years, 2 to 3 years. So, I thought I've got to do something else, right? I can't be in another Hobonichi for 2025. As much as I love the Cousin, I love the setup because it's really cool. And if you're, it's only September. The date I'm filming this is September the 16th. And I do have to edit it and then upload it to YouTube. And all that takes time. The upload takes anywhere from 10 minutes to literally 10 hours. Depending on what the internet is doing, what our Wi-Fi is doing. But when I do get it uploaded, it's going to be, of course, within the week, okay? Within a week from September the 16th as I film this. If you're looking for a planner for next year, a journal for next year, I do still recommend the Hobonichi, as long as you're not OCD about how your inks look on the page. And who knows, they may correct that flaw for next year. I don't know if enough people have been complaining about it. The main complaint I've seen online is that it ghosts too much. You can see the ink. Let me go back to the very last page I have journaled in here. They say too much of the ink shows through on the other side of the paper. I've not had that problem except in the areas where the ink has spread. then those areas where the ink spreads, you tend to kind of see it on the other side of the paper. But I've not had that bleeding issue that a lot of other people are complaining about. And it's been a lot. So that tells me the paper is not of a consistent quality. Anyway, briefly what I like about the Hobonichi cousin. Now this is the 𝗍𝗃. It's the cousin is the entire year in one book. The 𝗍𝗃 is the year split up between two books. I prefer the 𝗍𝗃 because as you're working in your Hobonichi, as you're drilling away and you're adding stickers and washi and all that cute stuff, you know, it bulks up your journal and your journal begins to get really thick. So this was originally this thick. And now look at it. And it's going to get even thicker because these are all the pages I haven't used yet that remain for the year. I used the cousin first, which is the entire year in one book, and it got so bulky by October that basically I had a huge ridge right here on the page. And so I had to write and kind of get down into that ridge, and it was just a major pain in the butt. So that's why I went to the 𝗍𝗃. And the 𝗍𝗃 does not have that problem because there's only 6 months in it. So even if you do add, you know, your stickers and your washi and your ephemera to it, it is not going to get massively bulked up like the cousin would that has the entire year in one book. So if you're worried about bulk, get the Hobonichi cousin 𝗍𝗃 that comes in the 2 volumes. It's really nice. And I like it again because it does have the Tomoe River Paper, which is the smoothest writing surface for fountain pens if you use fountain pens. Or if you use like maybe micron drawing markers to write with. Another really popular pen type to use. Do I have it here? Yes, I do. This is the 𝗀𝗃𝗃 Energel. And it's by Pentel. It's really popular. It is a gel pen. It writes really nice on the Tomoe River paper as well. And again, that's the Energel 𝗀𝗃𝗃. I will try to link to it below. It's really inexpensive. It's just under $5 on Amazon. But I like the Hobonichi because you get your months here. So you can fill in your important dates by the month if you want to. Or you can use this as an index page to index what you're writing on your, you know, daily pages back here if you want. Like if you wrote about a special event on November the 11th, you could go back here to November. Now this is the Japanese version. It does come in an English version as well. Oh, that's weird. Yeah, okay. This is 2024. It goes into 2025 as well by 6 months. Oh, I didn't even realize that. So see, if you had written something special in a special event November 20th, you could go back here, go down to the 20th, and write down that event here. So you know it was on that day, and you can find it back here on that day. So I like that about it, even though I haven't used it. In this one, in my first one, I did use it in the first volume. Not much has happened in the second half of the year, so I haven't really gotten to using it. This is the month. So you get a spread for each month of the year. This is in both the 2-volume 𝗍𝗃 and in the single-volume cousin. And then it goes into your weeklies. It'll give you a month or two of 2025. You get January of 2025. And then these are the weeklies. They're vertical columns, and they have the hours here in military time. So once you hit 12 noon, it goes to 1300 hours, 1400, and so on, all the way up to 4 a.m. So, and that's really nice. And I use it like, you know, when I'm planning something, when I'm having to do something that consists of stages, getting it done in stages, this comes in really handy for that. Like various art projects, and if I'm going to introduce a new service to my online spiritual business, it's really good to outline it in the weeklies here. So that's what this is. And then the weeklies go into the dailies, which are here. So because of the little inconsistencies in the paper. Oh God, I love this ink. What ink was this? Was this Conklin? Yeah, Conklin Dusty Rose. It's so pretty. Anyway, because of the inconsistent paper, I thought I would go into a different journal for 2025. And so I chose what's known as the Common Planner by Sterling Ink. Sterling spelled Sterling, and then ink. And the woman who owns that company, her name's Catherine. She's also on Instagram. And she has created this journal called the Common Planner, which is very similar to the cousin. Again, you get the Tomoe River paper, but you get the 52 GSM. Now, it's not the exact same 52 GSM that Hobonichi used in the past, but it is incredibly similar to the point where I don't really see much difference. And so you get your monthlies, and the grids are a real light gray, and they're undated, so you can start it and end it anytime. And then it goes into the weeklies. The only thing I don't like about it is the timestamp for the weeklies is so dark that it looks like it's a bulleted list, you know? So, but what I do like about it, though, is after 12 noon, it goes to regular non-military time. What do they call that? There's a name for it when it's, I can't remember what it is, but, you know, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and so on, instead of 1300, 1400, like in the Hobonichi cousin. So that's nice. And so you get, you know, a 2-page spread for every week. So you get your 7 days here, you get a column for notes here, and you have area down here for notes or decoration. Up here, you'd put your date and the day of the week. So those are the weeklies. And then the dailies are, again, completely blank. I'm trying to flip to the first day. Completely blank. So, you know, this is the last page of the weeklies. Then it's a blank here, and then you get page 1. And these numbers for your dailies are, these pages for your dailies are numbered all the way to the end. It goes up to 185 pages, I believe, in each volume. Yeah, 185. So I thought, okay, I got this, and I got this one because I have a couple of other journals from her with this same paper in it that I really, really love. I've been using them, right? So I thought, you know, I'm just going to do a pen test in this just as a matter of course. I always do a pen and a watercolor test in every journal, and I highly recommend that to you because even if you're using a journal from the same brand, and this is a very, very good lesson in that. A branded journal that I use all the time, that I've used since like about 2018, 2019, is Archer and Olive. And with the pandemic, the paper quality in Archer and Olive has gone down just a little bit. And so journals I'm testing now with my fountain pen inks and my watercolors do not hold up as well as journals made prior to the pandemic. It's just like with everything else on the planet. It's gone to crap since the pandemic, you know? Anyway, so I thought, I'm going to just go ahead and take it through a test run, even though I know this paper is really awesome, right? Because I've used her journals before, not the Common Planner, but it's the same paper in like a traveler's notebook, which is TN, and TNs are thin. They're about like this wide. And they're, you know, they're meant to take traveling. So I turned to the last page here, and I just started writing with whatever I had in my pens. These are my currently inked right now. So what I do when I do my pen and ink tests in any journal, I just write out the name of the pen, the brand of the pen, Ellington Pens, Presidential Oath. This is a pen I am reviewing for my YouTube channel, and I'll have that video up probably today. Later today on September the 16th. And then the ink in that pen happens to be Pumpkin Patch by Ferris Wheel Press. And then I'll do a little swatch, usually a heart or just a circle. This is a Tombow ABT watercolor-based marker. They also have alcohol-based markers. I recommend the water-based over the alcohol-based any day. Alcohol-based is not consistent in quality. So just FYI. And then I have my 𝗙𝗵𝗿𝗄𝗃 Chiclet Orchid, which is a gorgeous purple pen. So I just went through and wrote them all down, and I didn't even bother to look because, I just assumed it's going to look just like it does in my traveler's notebook, right? Then I went to turn the page, and what do I see? Massive amount of ghosting. Ghosting occurs when you can see the ink through the reverse side of the page you've just written on. And look at that. You could almost, if you could read backwards, you could read what I wrote here. It came through so well, which is incredibly unfortunate. Because that means, as I use this for daily journaling, I don't really care for the monthlies and the weeklies, but as I use it for my daily journaling, what's going to happen is I write on the one page, I flip it over to write on the next page. The text from both those pages is going to be visible on each opposite side of the page. See what I'm saying? So you're going to look on this side, you're going to see the surface writing here. You're also going to see the writing from the other side. And I'm thinking that going back and looking over my memories years from now, it's going to make it really difficult to read, especially since I'm getting older. And, as we get older, our eyeballs age and things get, increasingly difficult to see correctly. So that has really, really upset me. And especially since the Common Planner is not cheap. I don't remember exactly how much I paid for it. I know a 𝗂𝗏𝗃 is like, depending on where you buy it, it's anywhere from $60 to $70 for the 2-volume 𝗂𝗏𝗃. I want to say this was like about $55. But I am not happy with the paper at all. And now I don't know what I'm going to do for 2025, and it's already the middle of September. I tend to have my planner lineup, my journal lineup picked out by the end of September. So now I know my main idea of using this as my main journal is now kaputted. So, yeah. I don't know. If you guys have any recommendations, let me know in the comments below. What are you planning to use? Or are you even going to have an annual journal for 2025? A lot of people don't. A lot of people just journal as things happen, which is perfectly fine too. You don't have to journal every single day. I got into the habit of daily journaling just by expressing my daily gratitude every day. And this is something I will be talking about a lot in my Patreon. Gratitude, personally to me, is extremely important. I went through a really dark time in the late 80s when I was in grad school at the University of California, Santa Barbara. I was working on my master's degree in anthropology. I went there from Illinois. And it was a huge culture shock. And I ended up with apartment mates who were literally closet alcoholics. One was a prostitute. I kid you not. That's how she put herself through school. Another one wasn't a prostitute, but she brought a new guy to the apartment every weekend. And, various other major problems I had there. And I was there with the understanding that once I got my master's degree, I would go on to my doctorate degree there. And they were also giving me a really awesome scholarship. They were paying all of my fees, all my tuition, plus they were giving me $1,000 a month stipend that I could spend any way I wanted to. So I had my rent paid, my food paid, all my bills were paid, and each month I had anywhere from like $500 to maybe, well, not $500 because of rent, anywhere from $300 to $400 left over that I was just banking because I wasn't really into spending money because I was busy in school. And plus, I didn't need a whole lot. So when I got my master's degree, I quit. I left because of that. And the professors there were just interested in using us grad students to get their own research done. We weren't allowed to work on the things that interested us. And I was just like, no. So I left. And why am I talking about UCSB? Oh, yeah, because I was in a really dark place at that time. Well, this girl I met, she was the manager to my apartment building. She was a fellow student, a fellow grad student there. And she told me that she journaled every day and that all she would journal were 3 to 5 things each day she was grateful for. And she was actually Vietnamese, and she happened to have been in the 70s a Vietnamese boat person. Now, if you're too young to know what that is, Google it. Vietnamese boat person. Because when she told me that, I was totally floored. And those people went through holy hell to get here to America. And that's putting it mildly. And she told me she had severe depression as a child, and someone recommended she start journaling her gratitude just for little things. And, you know, being so severely depressed, it can be hard to come up with just 3 little things to be grateful for. And so that's how I was. I was in a very depressive state at the time. And so I would I bought a little cheap journal at the student bookstore, and you know, day 1 I wrote, I'm grateful for, and then I just kind of looked at the page and went, well, okay, I'm grateful for this journal because it gives me a place to write. Grateful for this pen. You know, I'm grateful for this chair and this desk. And that was like day 1 because that's how low I was. And then like the following week, I was saying, I'm grateful for my cup of coffee. I'm grateful for this good sandwich I had at the student union. I started to think of other things, and it just snowballed from there. And I started to think of more and more things I was grateful for. And then as you do that, you realize how blessed your life is. And not only that, but what's very important is by expressing our gratitude to the universe, you open the door and the windows to allow more blessings to enter your lives. So what I really recommend is that you express your gratitude daily in a journal, and that's a good way to start your journaling process. Now, all you're going to see me do right here is a little paint practice. Not practice, but a swatch here, just so I can see how the watercolor takes. I mean, who knows? The watercolor might do better than the fountain pen ink. I don't know. So I'm going to do a wash first. And so I'm putting a bunch of water on there, and then I'm just going to get some 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 here from Aloha Watercolors, and you will hear me mention Aloha Watercolors a lot. Her name is Keiko, and she lives in Hawaii on the Big Island. I'm so jealous. And she makes her own watercolor paints. These are all handmade by her. This one's called Blue Canoe. And then what I do is I just add some to the paper here, and I'm going to move it around a little bit. I'm just cleaning my brush off in the water. You can't see that. It's off camera. Oh, look, it kind of looks like a jack-o'-lantern. So I just take it and move the color a little bit to see how colors will blend on this Tomoe River paper, this version of it. And it's doing pretty good. Now, Tomoe River paper, it crinkles a lot when you wet it. As you can see all these crinkles here. That's part of the charm. What's nice about it is it really allows for the watercolor to blend really well because it allows the water to sit on the page for a while. So you get these really cool blends as the water and the color sits there. I'm actually going to use a bright pink here. This is pink ginger. And Keiko names her colors after Hawaiian flowers and birds and other indigenous animals. So a lot of them have these Hawaiian names. Like Ulu Ulu is one, which is a shade of green. But see, now this is how, and then you can tilt the page and get it to kind of run. And if you notice, the color is only running where there's water. The rest of the page is dry, so it's not going to go over there. Look at that. I'm getting a pretty lavender color. And we'll be playing with watercolors really, really soon here. Like, you know, by the weekend. And I'll show you guys how to have some fun with your watercolors. I hope you have a set. For watercolors, just your basic set. A really good store-bought brand is called Prima. I don't have any for example here because they're put up somewhere, but Prima, it comes in half pans just like Keiko's paints do. And their sets, they come in sets of 12, and they're different color palettes. They got a set like of all blues and greens. They've got another set called Classic, which is their traditional colors, which is the one I recommend you start with if you do get Prima watercolors. The Classic set of 12. It gives you all your basic colors, and from having those colors in your collection, you can mix them together to get pretty much any other color of the rainbow. So, now here I am, just waiting for this to dry as I blab some more. I'm going to try to flip it over a little bit. Okay, I just wanted to see, but yeah, the page underneath it has gotten a little damp and it's warped a little bit, but that will go away as it completely dries. And again, that happened just because the paper is so thin. But the neat thing about Tomoe River paper is it really takes watercolor well. So I just wanted to see how it would take this watercolor as opposed to how it took the ink, which wasn't very well. It, you know, ghosted through badly, which I'm still extremely disappointed about that. And I don't know what I'm going to do for next year, and I have no money to buy another one. So I'm like, oh. Yeah. I do have quite a few journals I haven't used yet because I'm an Archer and Olive affiliate, and I'll put all my codes. All my codes will always be in the description below. All of my discount codes for all the companies I am an affiliate for now. Archer and Olive, I have a bunch of their journals, but I really like the Tomoe River paper. They do not do Tomoe River paper. But I have a couple of other journals I haven't used yet that have the old Tomoe River paper in it, the good 52 GSM stuff. And I was leaving them blank for like a rainy day. Well, I think that rainy day has come. And I'll probably be using one of those for my 2025 journal, which means I'm going to have to go into it and create my monthly grids and my weekly layouts and be sure I have enough pages in the journal for the monthly grids, the 52-week layouts, and then the 365 blank pages for journaling daily. So we'll see how that goes. And whenever you guys have questions about anything that you see on my Patreon or that you see on my Instagram or Facebook, which are the other two platforms I'm really active in, if you've got questions about anything I'm sharing or posting, do let me know. You can always drop a comment, whether it is on Patreon, Instagram, Facebook, or over on YouTube under one of my videos. I check everywhere. I check every morning for any comments, any questions. I'm happy to help you out as much as I can, as much as I'm able. And yeah, so anytime you find something difficult to understand or you're not sure what I meant by something, or you got a question about an art supply that I've used, let me know. I am more than happy to help. As you can see here what's going on, you can see the pigment separation in the colors. So it looks kind of like horizontal stripes here, which is pretty cool. And then you see how they blended into this lovely lavender. I really like that. It's really pretty. But it's still taking its sweet time to dry because I did use a lot of water. But I did that on purpose, because I want to see how this Tomoe River paper is going to take to water. And you'll find as you play more with watercolors, you know how people will say, oh, it was so boring. It was like watching paint dry, you know? Well, I tell you what, as you get into watercolors, watching paint dry can be quite exciting. Because you'll see pigments separating and differentiating themselves. You'll see them merging together, and you never really know what they're going to do. You know, watercolor can be quite unpredictable. And especially considering the type of paper you use it on. Because you use it on something that's non-porous, non-absorbent, like your Tomoe River paper, where the water and the paint's going to sit on the surface until it dries. You know, you can kind of play with it and turn it around like I'm doing. But when you use it on watercolor paper that's porous and it's meant to absorb the water and the pigments, you'll have less of a chance to play with it like this. But you can still use a lot of water with it and still get similar effects, but it won't be as dramatic as this. Unless you're using like a specialty watercolor paper. Smooth hot press comes to mind, because that one allows the pigment and the water to sit on the surface for a while before it starts to dry. So there we go. It is probably about only half dry now, but now I'm going to flip it over because I want to see what it looks like on the other side. And we get a bunch of wavy lines because Tomoe River paper, it does crinkle. That's part of the charm of Tomoe River paper. And what you can do is you can turn it back to the surface that you've had wet so you can see it. Grab the paper by the edge, very carefully, gently pull on it. And you see how those crinkles kind of dissipate a little bit? What happens when paper gets wet, paper's made out of teeny tiny fibers, the fibers shrink. And as the fibers shrink, the paper crinkles. But if you take your Tomoe River paper by the edge and very gently, I mean with the gentlest of touch, pull on it, just so it becomes taut, you're pulling those crinkles out of the paper. But you don't want to pull too hard, because what will happen is the paper will rip right where it's wet. And you'll end up with this huge hole in your journal page. But if you just gently pull, you see how those crinkles are going away now? And the paper's getting flatter and flatter? This helps. Another thing you can do is after your paper's completely dry and it's all crinkly and wavy, you can pull on it a little bit again to straighten it out, and then just put some heavy books on top of it to flatten it out. That will also help. But I find this method to be much more useful, and it gets me the look that I want. Because I like a little bit of crinkle, not a whole lot. And I don't like crinkles that actually kind of look like they had something heavy put on them to flatten them. I don't really like that look either. So that's why I've gone to pulling on my paper just a little bit. And there, you see how it is now much less crinkle. And if I turn it over, you remember what it looked like a minute ago? It's still kind of crinkly, but I'm getting more flat areas in it now, you see? So the good thing about this paper is the watercolor did not bleed through like the fountain pen ink bled. I mean, not bled through, but ghosted through. So that's really good. Watercolor is held well by this paper. It's held better than fountain pen ink, which is really kind of bizarre, because fountain pen inks are heavier than watercolors, especially fountain pen inks that have shimmer in them. And a lot of these do have shimmer because they are Ferris wheel press inks. Ferris wheel press has a lot of shimmer inks. I mean, they're gorgeous. And I am a Jubilee ambassador for Ferris wheel press. So again, my link is below, and all my affiliate code is below. You use 𝗳-magical spelled just with a K. You get 15% off your order. And you help to support me too. They send me like, it's like 8%. It's like half of what you guys save. But there it is. It is blending nicely. So this is really bizarre. It's like it can't take fountain pen, but hey, it can take watercolor. So now I'm really confused. Because usually with this type of light paper, it can take the fountain pen ink really well, but it doesn't do well with the watercolor. So I'm like, what is up with this paper? It's like possessed. Needs an exorcism. But yeah, that's really weird how well it's doing with the watercolor. I'm happy about it, but I can't do my whole journal in watercolor, you know? I don't know what I'm going to do. I did notice with the fountain pen inks that for some of them, they ghosted less than the others. So these colors right here ghosted less. Let's see what makes them different. First of all, they're lighter in hue. They're lighter shades, these three. This one's a shimmer. This is Adventuring by Ferris Wheel Press, and it's in my Visconti Rembrandt pen. Then we have Lady Rose by Ferris Wheel Press. That is a matte ink, meaning it has no shimmer in it. That's in my Retro 51 Autumn Leaves pen, which is a stub nib. So that's why this one writes so quickly. The nib is a stub. And then I have my Esterbrook and Bunyo collab pen, the Esti Sakura, and that has lead cast letters in it. Lead cast letters is also a matte ink by Ferris Wheel Press, meaning it has no shimmer in it. So maybe what I have to do is just use lighter colors of ink, that most of which do not have a shimmer. I wonder how the Twinkling Tea Party looked, because I really liked that color. Yeah, that went. That's really visible through the page. That's too bad. So, and of course I'm mushing up this last page, but it's just the interior leaf. It's, you know, nothing special. But here we go. I mean, look at how pretty that's looking. And again, as it's drying, you just pull on it a little bit more. You set it to the side, be doing something else. Every once in a while, reach for it and pull on it to get that paper to really flatten out. So the quest shall continue for a journal, probably. I may test some more in this one. The problem with this journal is she did not give us enough pages to have test pages in the back. We have enough pages just for our dailies for 365 days, and then I think it's like 5 extra pages after that, I think, and then that's it. So I can do pen tests for up to 5 pages, but we'll see. So that's what I'm doing today. And I hope you enjoyed my rambling. They won't always be rambling like this, but I thought you might like to see a little bit of my process. You know, see what I'm thinking of and working on for today. So I thank you for watching. And I hope that you all have a lovely day ahead, wherever you are in this world of ours. And I'll look forward to chatting with you next time.